So my name is Jonathan Leedham. I am Business Intelligence Manager for read.co.uk. Give us a quick show of hands. Who's heard of read.co.uk? Excellent. Anybody get a job for read.co.uk? Some people. Excellent. Well, good news is that technology is one of our biggest growing areas. So do take a look if you've not looked at us recently, because traditionally we were probably not huge in the IT sector, which is why there's probably not as many hands there. Today I want to talk to you about Looker and Redshift, but I can't really talk to you about that. Sorry, BigQuery, Looker, and Redshift. And I can't really talk to you about that if I don't kind of put that in some kind of context. And for the really sort of hardcore BigQuery and Amazon people in the room, I'm going to keep it deliberately high level so we keep it accessible to everybody. But please do come talk to me or some of the team afterwards if you want to really delve into the detail and talk about how you use it and some really good best practice, because it'll be great to hear how other people are using it. So, read.co.uk, say with the UK's #1 job site. We come from a recruitment company called Reed, that are around since the 50s. And on the line, we predate Google, although now we buy their product, so they're obviously much more successful than we are. But we're still pretty successful. We have a really good website, a fantastic mobile app, and iPad app. So how successful are we? Per month, we have 6.7 million users, generating 15.8 million visits, 4.4 million job applications, and pretty much at any one point we have 210 to 230 jobs on our website. So if you don't love Mondays, which is our theme, we always say, go and have a look at read.co.uk, see if there's a reason you would love Mondays more. But obviously, because you work for existing employers, I would say don't leave them first, buy Looker, obviously. Quick simulation. If you be careful not to spill your drink, can I please ask you all to stand up? Excellent, thank you. So I'm going to deliberately limit what you can do here, and I apologise for that in advance. But I'd like you to introduce yourself to somebody you don't know. And I'd like you to do that using this construct. I'd like you to present your first name, the last word of your job title, and the first tool you use in the morning. To make it more interesting, don't say Outlook or Gmail. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Please do that to somebody you don't know. If somebody else is standing by themselves, please help them and sit down. Okay, let's put it there. Thank you very much for taking part in that exercise. How many of you were able to answer the question, what does the person you met do? Put your hands. A few of you, excellent. So maybe if somebody said, my name is Alan and I work with Excel, you probably knew they were a data analyst. But if they just said, my name is Alan and I'm a manager, you probably didn't know anything about them. And the reason why I did that is, what does it feel like to be information poor? As data people, we're very lucky that we have all of the data, and we forget half the time that our users can't see our data, so we always wonder why they ask us so many questions, and why we're always so busy and we get to the pub so late. So, how does it feel to be unable to get more data? How does it feel to be unable to ask further questions? How does it feel to be able to make uninformed decisions? Remember this feeling, because that's how the majority of your users may feel if you're at the early stages of a BI project. And that's kind of how we started about just over 12 months ago. So in the beginning, we were looking at cloud data warehousing. We were a reporting team, not a BI team. A couple of my colleagues here today, we spent all our day writing SQL. And I love SQL, I've been writing it for about 12 years, showing my age a little bit. But day in, day out, writing the same SQL, it's a bit boring. So what we tried to do was we were looking at, I come from a BI background, we were looking at different BI tools. What we had was a database that was replicated from production, quite common in BI world, pretending to be a data warehouse. Really slow, data not optimized for reporting, not really a star schema, none of your traditional Kimball methodology. Didn't really work for anybody, truth be told. And 100% of our daily effort was spent churning out the same thing. We had a culture of prioritization. What's the next biggest thing we need to do? We had intelligence inequalities. If you had a really important customer, maybe your query jumped to the top of the queue. If you didn't, maybe you had to wait a week, a day, a month, 3 months before you got the information. And even though there were lots of reports available, you often didn't know which report to go to. So I always call this the never-ending reporting treadmill. Maybe some of you are there, maybe some of you have been there. So we also looked at just a small subset of our data. We've got a lot of data on our website, but we just looked at our website data. We didn't look externally. We didn't look at our finance system very much. We didn't look at our CRM system. We didn't look at our web logs. We didn't look at who was visiting what. We did in pockets, but never really as a whole. So we had thousands of metrics, lots of inconsistent definitions. Mentioned earlier, revenue, 1,000 different definitions of revenue. We had 2 years of job applications, which for a company that's been around for longer than Google, not very much. And 3 months of CV search usage, one of our products, which is great, but try doing a year-on-year comparison with 3 months of data. Quite difficult. So change happens. Where are we now? There's a bit of a spoiler alert here. We have Looker, Amazon Redshift, and BigQuery. We invested in cloud data warehouses. Initially Redshift, but eventually we got BigQuery because we're a Google Analytics Premium customer, and they pipe all of their unsampled data straight to BigQuery. So really useful source of intelligence. So Looker Analytics has replaced reporting for a primary source of intelligence. So we've got around 200 plus users. I lose count because every day somebody asks me if I could set them up with Looker. Even if I've never heard of them, they just randomly come to me. Don't know why that is. So we've rationalized reporting. We've gone from 250 reports down to about 50 reports, and that's reducing every day. And we've built, for the Looker customers, 50 data models, or explores, or data universes, and 30 Looker ML dashboards plus user dashboards. Now, you may think we've got rid of 200 reports and we've added another 100 reports, but that's not actually true. What we've added is capability to analyze your data in many ways that was, many new ways than was possible before. So previously, we looked at a subset of our data. Now we look at all of our data, and we aggregate and disaggregate that data in many ways so we can get the intelligence we really need about our products, our services, and our customers. So we can also analyze a lot more data. Thanks to Redshift and BigQuery, we don't look at 2 years or 3 months worth of data. We look at 15 years worth of data, over 300 million job applications. Now, there's a lot of talk about big data and what is big data and how big is your data and all those kind of conversations. And the best definition I heard the other day was big data is anything where previously you couldn't analyze it and now you can analyze it. So even if that's 501 job applications and previously you can analyze 500, that's big data. And I think that's a really great definition. I can't take credit for it, though, and I don't know who said that. So where were we? So majority of BI effort spent. So now, fast forward, all of our effort is spent on working on strategic projects or supporting and training people on using Looker and getting intelligence. So we no longer write SQL every day. I do miss it some days, but keep my hand in now and again. Democratize data. We give people data back to the people. We trust people in our organization. We've given data to 200 people. They use it every day to help make decisions. We also like to hammer our Redshift instance. We're quite tight. We like to get value for money. We run 40,000 SQL queries a day against Redshift. And that's primarily because we embed that within Salesforce. Every time a Salesforce page loads, we query the database. But there's also hundreds of queries which are user dashboards, user ad hoc queries and analysis that happens. And we're very agile. We're a big agile organization. We love Scrum, we love sprinting, we love doing things really quickly and as efficiently as possible. And what Looker enables us to do is to do rapid data modeling. So the presentation that was just covered there, it's all that kind of put your data in one place, play around with it, work it out really quickly. The slowest thing we used to do was about 3 weeks. The fastest we do now is about 60 seconds. So a bit about how we got there. We started off in a typical BI project. We looked at lots of vendors. We looked at everything from Tableau, ClickView, SAP, the whole works. And there was lots of new and emerging technology. We really liked this thing called cloud. Didn't really understand it initially. So we started to look at that. We needed a full stack replacement. We had lots of data in different places. We need to move the data around. And some data governance issues. Very boring, so I won't talk about that now. And people. We had a really small team. Our BI team is just 2 people. And we had to deliver this change as well as delivering business as usual, which sounds difficult. But actually, when Looker does all the hard work for you, you get all your time to do other things for other people. So it sort of makes it really easy. So we moved to a pilot. We did a couple of pilots. Looker was one of our favorites. We did about a 4-week trial. We did 5 to 10 hours worth of engagement with Looker. And They offered a bit more, but we wanted to kind of play with it ourselves and figure things out. And although I have to say the support is excellent, and we have talked to them quite a bit since, but really, really simple to get started. We built our own custom ETL tools. I'll talk more about that in a second. And what we tried to do was to keep our analysts engaged in what we were doing. We weren't trying to say, here's a new tool, use this. We tried to say, here's the problem you have. Come with us, let's try and deliver this together. And we had a really strong case for learning new skills, and everybody was learning something new and sharing that knowledge. So at some point in an ABI project, you have to make a decision on one tool, gamble your entire career, and go with it. And that's what we did with Looker. Obviously, it worked out. I'm here today. Although it was a little bit too successful, we had a plan of giving it to our users and taking it away. And they sort of had other ideas. So we kept on building after the trial, and Looker were quite nice to us because they basically said, well, you can keep the tool till you sign the contract, as long as you sign the contract soon, which was brilliant, really, because it really kind of helped us build momentum and traction. We didn't do everything right. We did make some mistakes along the way. We overbuilt in our development environment. Getting stuff quickly done in your development is great, but then suddenly you realize everybody's relying on it, you need to move to production. And my boss is here today. He will tell you loads of horror stories about moving from that development environment to our production environment. But I personally don't care, because during that time, we delivered tremendous amounts of value for our customers internally. And we had a planned rollout. We thought we'd give 50 users here, 50 users there, bring on this team, bring on that team. And in reality, that didn't work, because what happened is the people using the product wanted to share their knowledge and their dashboards and that they're creating with other people. So it tended to be sort of chaos rollout in the end. It's like people shouting, saying, let me have access to this tool, which is a great place to be, but it does mean that you lose control exactly of who's got what where, which is the downside. And what we found is Looker's very much a crowdsourced model. So every single day, people would say, can you do this? Can you do that? Has it got this bit? And you could go, well, and they give me 5 minutes, let me get this done. And the huge downside of this is I used to have a name. People come up to me and say, John, how's it going? And in the end, people just come up to me and go, Looker, in Looker, how'd you do this? Which is great, but it was great when everybody was trained up and people would talk to me about the weather again. Being English, we love that. Though I should stress, I am Cornish, and we love the weather even more. So our emergent architecture. So these are our main data sources, read.co.uk. We use Salesforce, Google Analytics Premium and BigQuery, Google Drive, and data on S3. We started off with Amazon, and then someone said, have all this data in BigQuery, and I was like, I'll have a bit of that, thanks. And then, obviously, we have a bunch of Looker models. We use Agility to connect as a client tool for Amazon Redshift. And one of the things we did, because we started out fairly early on, about 12 to 18 months ago, we struggled with data, sort of putting data into Redshift. We weren't really familiar with Talend at the time, so we built our own custom C# application, which is a fantastic application, works really well, but does require some maintenance. And recently, we started looking at a product called Matillion. It's fantastic if you're a Redshift user for doing ETL transformation. Really looking fantastic on that one. We're probably going to be migrating to that in the near future. We're looking at different use cases for that at the moment. And I just want to point that out to you because we really struggled with this bit. We lost several months doing that bit. So if you are at that stage, I do recommend checking that out. OK, so I'm here today to talk about BigQuery and Redshift. Anyone here a BigQuery customer? A few people. Anybody here a Redshift customer? Excellent. So many more people using Redshift than BigQuery. BigQuery is probably a bit older. Interesting. To me, it's a bit like having a favorite son or daughter. You're not supposed to have favorites. But I find certain days I've always got a favorite. And my colleague said to me today, John, you're always talking about BigQuery at the moment because it's the hot new thing. But we're primarily a Redshift customer, and that's very true. Redshift is our bread and butter. Google is my new toy, and I love playing with it. Both of them are really good products. So if anybody in the room doesn't use Amazon or BigQuery, this is the definitions of what they say they use. They are petabyte data warehouses. I didn't really know what a petabyte was till about 3 days ago, I'll be honest, even though we've had these products for about a year. And apparently, if you download a petabyte on your phone, on your 4G phone, it takes 27 years. So a tremendous amount of data. I'd be surprised, depending on the size of your company, you may not have a petabyte worth of data, but you probably will in about 2 years' time. Talk to Lloyd about this. I'm sure he'd know much more about petabyte data warehouses than I will. But they are really capable data warehouses. In English, what do they mean? Amazon Redshift, cloud-based, super fast, relational, scalable by design, feature-rich. One of the unique things that makes it distinct from BigQuery is that it runs on your own dedicated server. It runs in your environment. So you've got much more control over it. And there's a lot to tinker with. It's one of the most impressive databases you ever use. I have to say that because previously when I was using SQL Server and there's apples and oranges, problems with comparisons, you can't... it was about 25 times faster, maybe 30 to 70 times faster, depending on what exactly you were running. But it is pretty amazingly fast. If you've never used one, I do encourage you to give it a go. I call it the Android of data warehousing. And the reason I call it the Android data warehousing is that I like the best of everything, which is why I like BigQuery and Redshift. I have an Android phone, an Apple laptop, an Apple laptop running iOS and Windows, because obviously I can't make my mind up. And it's more tinkerable, it's more configurable. Whereas iOS obviously is a lot more, you're locked into the Apple ecosystem. So BigQuery, as I say, is the iOS of data warehousing. It's plug and pay, it's pay as you go. It's quite scary because you're like, if I run a query and I run it over several terabytes of data, I'm going to get a bill for that, my boss might shout at me. In reality, you could probably run your entire data, if you're starting small, you can run your entire data warehouse for less than the cost of a round of drinks per month. We set up limits on this just to protect myself, and I've never had an alert warning about the limit. It's ridiculously cheap if it's just using it internally. If you're using externally, then you might see costs ramp up, but it's still incredibly cheap. So I definitely recommend, people who haven't got a cloud data warehouse, cost is not an issue. Basically, that just goes away, in my opinion. We use it in production. We have our BigQuery data there, so we connect Looker directly to BigQuery. But also, it's our data playground. If I've got a server farm of 5 Redshift clusters running away and I'm supporting 200 users, I don't mind loading the world's biggest data set into BigQuery and playing around with it because it's not going to affect anybody. Google has unlimited resources. It just does a brute force. Let's throw every single server at your problem, which is fantastic because previously you'd have to wait up all night to kind of run these kind of queries. Just check everything there. So I always say to people, Looker doesn't contain any data. Some people who aren't Looker customers might find that a bit strange. But I would say, what is Redshift or BigQuery compared to our old data warehouse? Well, I say we throw out the bike and we bought a Ferrari. I can't afford a Ferrari yet, but if Redshift gets any cheaper, then maybe we can get one as a company car. That'd be nice. We have about 1 million records in each per day in terms of growth. So the things we run 40,000 queries against this, and we run only 100 to 200 somewhere along here. So the numbers aren't important. Redshift also has embedded rows, so it's a little bit, you can't really compare 1 million to 1 million. But the key thing here is these numbers don't really matter. This is just our particular usage. Both of them can pretty much cope with any number you throw at it. OK, so a little bit about read.co.uk and our use of Looker. I could go on all day about this, but I've saved it to 2 slides because I know you want to get to the beers. So we have 50 explores. We analyze lots of objects, jobs, apps, logins, applications, sessions, metrics. And Lloyd will say, well, that's great, but these are just vanity metrics. Where are your KPIs? Well, we do have some of those as well, and we have a fantastic bunch of analysts who are in the front row as well, if you talk to them if you get a chance. And they create KPIs, actionable metrics, reports, dashboards, improved models, and they do all the awesome stuff with data. We just give them all the data, so they do all the hard work. Embedded in Salesforce, previously, our salespeople didn't know how their customers were using our product. They could run reports, but it was not very instinctive. Now they know exactly how many job credit spends are they spending per month, how many applications are they receiving, what's their use of our CV search product, what types of jobs that they're posting, salary bands, what sectors, and there are various other reports as well that we allow people to run directly. So embedded analytics moving towards not having to think about the information where you need it. We also use it to manage our product portfolio. You can see this is our specialist sector for IT and telecoms. So you can see we've got a growth in IT, lots of jobs added, lots of applications, registrations, making sure we're managing our portfolio of products effectively. So what's next at read.co.uk? We're not complete. We're about a year into our BI project, so we're not fully mature yet as an organization. We're going to build out our data ecosystem. We want to integrate with our data science. We have a data science team who do some tremendous stuff with data, and we want to make sure that we piggyback on that and really kind of share the insights that those guys are developing. We don't do much with real time at the moment. We don't do much event-driven behavior, alerting people when there's stuff they should be interested about. We want to be much more behavioral driven. So looking at our customers, understanding not just kind of like, oh, this many apps, but actually how many times do they use our product. We want to be much more forward-looking and looking at statistical analysis. Nearly finished, almost last slide, guys. So people and data. We want to enhance our customer intelligence offering. That's really important to us. We want to continue to reduce data inequalities in the organization, because even though we've done a tremendous amount, there are still people who are really data savvy and still people who don't really understand our data assets and how it can add value to them. We want to support a culture of strategic intelligence use, and we want to support data-driven recruitment. And last one, if you're still running a report marathon, try some LookML data modeling and see analytics in action. If you don't have a turbocharged cloud data warehouse, see me after, and get started with Looker and BigQuery. Really easy to get started for pretty much no cost if you want to try that out. And if you're an existing Looker customer, my challenge to you is to enable your users to do more with data, to challenge data inequalities, to be more data-driven than data science. Because in the modern world, data science is really exciting, really sexy, and it's the thing of the moment. But BI drives your internal workforce and your organization. And if you don't love Mondays, please look at read.co.uk. Thank you very much.